Charles Arnoldi is a world-renowned abstract painter and sculptor who rose to prominence during the 1970s and 1980s, a period that corresponds to the growth of Los Angeles as a major centre for contemporary art. Charles Arnoldi's work resides in numerous collections and museums throughout the United States, including the Museum of Modern Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum. And Charles, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Tell us about, first of all, the Venice Mafia. I mean, it was a... can you recall much of it?
Well, when I first moved to Venice, which was late 60s, early 70s, I can't remember the exact year, there did seem to be a Venice Mafia, but the truth is that the art scene in Los Angeles was very small. Everybody knew everybody, and the thing about Venice is you realize it's a very small community. It's only about a mile long, and it was sandwiched between Santa Monica and the Marina, and it was a land of the wanted and the unwanted. In a sense, nobody wanted to be in Venice. It was a scary place, and it was real estate was very, very cheap. The climate's great. The ocean's right there. It's a mix of residential, commercial, and manufacturing real estate. And so the artists just started coming here because it was a great deal. And Bankston was here, and Irwin, and Larry Bell, a lot of the older guys, John Altoon. And I'm 2 generations younger than that, but boy, once I came to Venice, there was just no other place to go. And it was a very small community, and there was very little support really out there in the world, so every time anybody had a show, we all went, and any time anybody had a birthday or any other reason to celebrate, we were always together. And it did seem a little bit like a mafia, but it was only because it was such a small group and we all knew each other so well. And there was a certain amount of power there because Billy and Irwin and those guys, they were the center of the art scene. They really created it through the Ferris Gallery and stuff. I mean, if it hadn't been for Billy and Ed Keenholz and Irving Blum and stuff, there probably wouldn't really have been an art scene in Los Angeles. So it was a mafia because it was like a big family. It was a real, all the hippies, it was, free love, and it was great time down here. And the Doors had a place right down on Brooks Avenue. I mean, it was a very great place to be. It was total freedom, and everybody was expressing themselves.
And the creative support, I imagine, too, would have been great, just to have all the artists around you and the people involved in the arts, and that support would have been a great motivational tool to move on.
Well, the thing is, what happens is when you have a little art community that gets started, like in Venice, it attracts a support system. Artists tend to like to eat and drink, and they find a restaurant that's good, or a restaurant will open that caters to them. And then when they start hanging out there, the patrons and stuff from outside come in, and it really vitalizes bad areas, and so an art community can turn a community into a very prosperous place. I mean, the real estate, appreciates, and it changes the climate. So in a funny way, there was a time, 30, 40 years ago, where people kind of resented artists and didn't like them around, thought them as sort of low life to get rid of them, but they realized that the artists actually vitalize a community and make it a really happening place, and it's good for everybody. And actually, the police are very supportive of the art community, and the council people and everybody. They like them, but it took them years to figure this out. The same thing happened in New York. Artists would occupy cold water lofts, and at first you weren't allowed to live there. They didn't want you there, but once they realized that it attracted people and it vitalized neighborhoods, now it's a great thing. Boy, if you find a beat down part of a community and you can get the artists to move there, it's like an infusion, and the thing starts to grow. And so, aside from making art and stuff, I think we also create communities. So I never thought about it that way, but so the mafia, in this case, was we weren't involved with any illegal activities. Well, maybe we were involved with some illegal activities, but it seemed okay. You know.
So how would you describe your art when you first started out here in Venice?
Well, you have to understand, I was basically a poor boy from Dayton, Ohio, with nobody in my family had ever gone to college. There was no real blue-collar thing, so I had no intention or vision of ever becoming an artist. It kind of happened a little bit later in my life, and the interesting thing was when I came to California, and I kind of got introduced to the art world, and I went to art school, and they basically told me that painting and sculpture was dead. You couldn't do that, which shocked me because I still think of art as painting and sculpture. And so for me, I was trying to find an alternative way about going about making paintings. And so if you look at the history of my work, the earliest pieces that I'm sort of known for are the tree branch paintings. So I made tree branch paintings where I appropriated branches from nature, in a sense, and made constructions which I called paintings. And, but you have to understand, when you get plugged into the art world, it's a world unto itself, and so that language, is as ridiculous as it seemed, made sense inside the art world. And everybody else here was doing stuff. They weren't trying to make traditional type paintings. That's the thing, it's sort of unique about California as opposed to New York. New York, art sort of follows a lineage, and New York sort of stole the thunder from Europe. But they painted in a traditional way. You know, you always kind of look to the generation before. And the abstract expressionists were still applying paint with paintbrushes, although, you know, Pollock eliminated the image and, you know, made it, the gesture was the validity of the act and stuff. In California, you had guys like Billy Al painting spray lacquer on aluminum, which was very anti-establishment, very anti-European and stuff. And then you had all the light and space guys. And part of my stuff that I was making was kind of cruder and rougher, and sort of almost a response to a lot of the guys who were doing nice, clean, cool, beautiful stuff in LA. The thing that was great was that in the art scene in LA, everybody was totally supportive of encouraging you to do anything you wanted to do. And no matter what you were doing, they took it seriously. And I mean, if it was good, whatever you're doing. But you know, I mean, the thing was a total freedom, and the attitude that you should experiment. Don't accept, you know, the rules. Turn your back on, you know, whatever's going on.